I don't know what page we're on. I try. Drink Slurm. It's highly addictive. I would 1000% get addicted to Slurm. I'm glad it doesn't exist. Also, hello Flexo. Hello anyone I haven't said hi to because my brain is fried. Slurm always seemed like a stand-in for Mountain Dew. Oh, absolutely. I would have just, like, I thought it was just a stand-in for, like, soda. Super fun. I'm replaying every Futurama episode in my mind right now. And I'm rotating them. I hear of a convention to be held in Baltimore or elsewhere for the selection of a candidate for the presidency. A convention made up chiefly of editors and men who are politicians by profession. But I think, what is it to any independent, intelligent, and respectable man what decision they may come to? Shall we not have the advantage of his wisdom and honesty nevertheless? Can we not count upon some independent votes? Are there not many individuals in the country who do not attend conventions? But no, I find that the respectable man, so-called, has immediately drifted from his position and despairs of his country, when his country has more reason to despair of him. He forthwith adopts the candidates thus selected as the only available one, and proving that he himself is available for any purposes of the demagogue. His vote is of no more worth than that of any unprincipled foreigner or a hireling native who may have been bought. Or for a man who is a man, and as my neighbor says, has a bone in his back which you cannot pass your hand through. Our statistics are at fault. The population has been returned too large. How many men are there to a square 1,000 miles in this country? Hardly one. Does not America offer any inducement for men to settle here? The American has dwindled into an odd fellow. One who may be known by the development of his organ of gregariousness and a manifest lack of intellect and cheerful self-reliance, whose first and chief concern coming into the world is to see that the almshouses are in good repair. The almshouses are in good repair, and before yet he has lawfully donned the virile garb to collect a fund for the support of widows and orphans that may be, who, in short, ventures to live only by the aid of the mutual insurance company, which has promised to bury him decently. Also, thank you for 89 months, The Marked. It is not a man's duty, as a matter of course, to devote himself to the eradication of any, even the most enormous wrong. He may still properly have other concerns to engage him, but it is his duty at least to wash his hands of it, and if he gives it no thought longer, not to give it practically his support. It's not a man's duty, as a matter of course, to devote himself to the eradication of any, even the most enormous wrong. He may still properly have other concerns to engage him, but it is his duty, at least, to wash his hands of it, and if he gives it no thought longer, not to give it practically his support. If I devote myself to other pursuits and contemplations, I must first see at least that I do not pursue them sitting upon another man's shoulders. I must get off him first, that he may pursue his contemplations too. See what gross inconsistency is tolerated. I have heard some of my own townsmen say, I've heard some of my townsmen say, I should like to have them order me out to help put down an insurrection of the slaves, or to march to Mexico, see if I would go. I would like them to order me to join the army. You'll see if I go. And yet these very men have each, directly by their allegiance, and indirectly, at least, by their money, furnished a substitute. The soldier is applauded who refuses to serve in an unjust war, by those who do not refuse to sustain the unjust government which makes the war. Is applauded by those whose own act and authority he disregards and sets at naught. As if the state were penitent to that degree that it hired one to scourge it while it sinned, but not to that degree that it left off sinning for a moment. Thus, under the name of order and civil government, we are all made at last to pay homage to and support our own meanness. After the first blush of sin comes indifference, and from it, immoral. It becomes, as it were, unmoral, and not quite unnecessary to that life which we have made. Yeah, it hurts a little. I would like to use my skill at reading to not read the Bible. It makes me very happy. The broadest and most prevalent error requires the most disinterested virtue to sustain it. The slight reproach to which the virtue of patriotism is commonly liable, the noble are most likely to incur. Those who, while they disapprove of the character and measures of a government, yield to it their allegiance and support, are undoubtedly its most conscientious supporters. And so frequently, the most conscientious supports. Those who, while they disapprove of the character and measures of a government, yield to it their allegiance and support, are undoubtedly its most conscientious supports, and so frequently the most serious obstacles to reform. Some are petitioning the state to dissolve the Union, to disregard the requisitions of the president. Why do they not dissolve it themselves, the union between themselves and the state, and refuse to pay their quota into its treasury? Do they not stand in the same relation to the state that the state does to the union? And have not the same reasons prevented the state from resisting the union, which have prevented them from resisting the state? How can a man be satisfied to entertain an opinion merely and enjoy it? Is there any enjoyment in it if his opinion is that he is aggrieved? If you are cheated out of a single dollar by your neighbor, do you not rest satisfied with knowing that you are cheated? Or with saying that you are cheated? Or even with petitioning him to pay you your due? But you take effectual steps at once to obtain the full amount, and see that you are never cheated again. Action from principle, the perception and the performance of right, changes things and relations. It is essentially revolutionary, and does not consist wholly with anything which was. It not only divides states and churches, it divides families. It divides the individual, separating the diabolical in him from the divine. Unjust laws exist. Shall we be content to obey them? Or shall we endeavor to amend them and obey them until we have succeeded? Or shall we transgress them at once? Men generally, under a government such as this, think that they ought to wait until they have persuaded the majority to alter them. They think that if they should resist, the remedy would be worse than the evil. But it is the fault of the government itself that the remedy is worse than the evil. It makes it worse. Why is it not more apt to anticipate and provide for reform? Why does it not cherish its wise minority? Why does it cry and resist before it is hurt? Why does it not encourage its citizens to be on the alert to point out its faults and do better than it would have them? Why does it always crucify Christ and excommunicate Copernicus and Luther and pronounce Washington and Franklin rebels? Why? Thus spake Shakespeare. Why is it not more apt to anticipate and provide for reform? One would think that a deliberate and practical denial of its authority was the only offense ever contemplated by the government. Else, why is it not assigned its definite, its suitable and proportionate penalty? If a man who has no property refuses but once to earn 9 shillings for the state, he's put in prison for a period unlimited by any law that I know, and determined only by the discretion of those who placed him there. But if he should steal 90 times 9 shillings from the state, he is soon permitted to go at large again. If the injustice is part of the necessary friction of the machine of government, let it go, let it go. Perchance it will wear smooth. Certainly the machine will wear out. If the injustice has a spring, or a pulley, or a rope, or a crank exclusively for itself, then perhaps you may consider whether the remedying will not be worse than the evil. But if it is of such a nature that it requires you to be the agent of injustice to another, then I say, break the law. Let your life be a counter friction to stop the machine. What I have to do is to see, at any rate, that I do not lend myself to the wrong which I condemn. As for adopting the ways which the state has provided for remedying the evil, I know not of such ways. They take too much time, and a man's life will be gone. I have other affairs to attend to. I came into this world not chiefly to make this a good place to live, but to live in it, be it good or bad. A man has not everything to do, but something. And because he cannot do everything, it is not necessary that he should do something wrong. It is not my business to be petitioning the governor or the legislature any more than it is theirs to petition me. And if they should not hear my petition, what should I do then? But in this case, the state has provided no way. Its very constitution is the evil. This may seem to be harsh and stubborn and unconciliatory, but it is to treat with the utmost kindness and consideration the only spirit that can appreciate or deserves it. So is all changed for the better? So is all changed for the better, like birth and death, which convulse the body. Steal $1,000, you get 10 years. Steal $1 billion, you get to be president. The evil is within it. I believe this is from a time when slavery was in the constitutions, and that was I don't know exactly the whole historical context of Henry David Thoreau, but I do know that it was about slavery and the Mexican War, which I don't know what the Mexican War was about. How fun. Tacos. Thank you. Its very constitution is the evil. This may seem to be harsh and stubborn and unconciliatory, but it is to treat with the utmost kindness and consideration the only spirit that can appreciate or deserves it. So is all change for the better, like birth and death, which convulse the body. I do not hesitate to say that those who call themselves abolitionists should at once effectually withdraw their support, both in person and property, from the government of Massachusetts, and not wait till they constitute a majority of one, before they suffer the right to prevail through them. I think that it is enough that they have God on their side, without waiting for any other one. Sorry, I think that it is enough if they have God on their side, without waiting for that other one. Moreover, any man more right than his neighbors constitutes a majority of one already. I meet this American government, or its representative, the state government, the state government directly and face to face, once a year, no more, in the person of its tax gatherer. This is the only mode in which a man situated as I am necessarily meets it. And it then says distinctly, recognize me. And the simplest, the most effectual, and in the present posture of affairs, the indispensablest mode of treating with it on its head, of expressing your little satisfaction with and love for it, is to deny it then. My civil neighbor, the tax gatherer, is the very man I have to deal with. For it is, after all, with men, and not with parchment, that I quarrel. And he has voluntarily chosen to be an agent of the government. How shall he ever know well what he is? And does as an officer of the government, or as a man, until he is obliged to consider whether he shall treat me, his neighbor, for whom he has respect, as a neighbor and a well-disposed man, or as a maniac and a disturber of the peace. And see if he can get over this obstruction to his neighborliness, without a ruder and more impetuous thought or speech corresponding with his action. I know this well, that if 1,000, if 100, if 10 men whom I could name, if 10 honest men only, aye, if one honest man in this state of Massachusetts, ceasing to hold slaves, were actually to withdraw from this co-partnership and be locked up in the county jail therefore, it would be the abolition of slavery in America. For it matters now how small the beginning may seem to be. What is once well done is done forever. Brings a tear to my eye. And I have to read this as a socialist and not as a fucking libertarian tech bro who just, like, reads the first sentence and understands literally nothing about this. And then reads, like, maybe reads the rest of it and is like, oh yeah, I hate paying taxes. Do you think you just fell out of a coconut tree, man? Alright? Because I think you did. I think you did fall out of a coconut tree and you just got here. And you've been living nice on that tree for too long, alright? Shut up. Sit down. Stop doing that. I was walking down the streets when I tripped on a discarded banana skin, and on my way down, I caught the side of my head on a protruding brick chip. It was the government's fault. It was the fault of the government. I swear to God. When I'm reading this, I can literally hear somebody, like, replacing the words with that, basically. But I will persist. I'll keep reading, because I'm enjoying it, and I need to get to, like, the juicy parts of the word salad. Like, when I was telling you guys right before I started reading this, like, I looked it up a little bit so I could, like, put it in the context. I was like, all right, I know this is an important essay, and I wanted to make sure that I handled it correctly. Also, this is way harder to read than I thought it would be, but I'm getting there. And I wanted to make sure I understood the context even before I started reading it. And so I was, like, Googling it, and I was like, okay, so it was, like, civil disobedience was very specifically about the abolition of slavery and the Mexican War, which I don't know what the Mexican War was about. But I was like, all right, I get it. You know, like, I was like, I can't read it. I was doing this, like, 30 minutes before the stream started 3 weeks ago. And then I found a Reddit thread, like, on r/philosophy, and I was like, oh, I'll see what, like, actual human beings in our modern day and age. And it was literally from 2014. It was an r/philosophy post from 2014. And this guy was reading it, and he's like, wow, this is a great essay, except I don't like the parts where he says the military is bad. And that also prepared me a little bit for what I was about to get into. I was like, oh. He's like, yeah, I agree with all the stuff. Like, I really agree with all this stuff about like not paying taxes, but I don't. I mean, he trash talks the military, but I can look over that. And I was like, oh my god, do you not understand anything? Not the tree. He doesn't respect the troops though. Oh, it's when we invaded present day Texas and the Southwest Territorial Expansion. Ooh, we were a little more successful on the slavery thing, depending on who you ask. But that makes sense too. Southwest expansion. Got it. Oh no, wait, it was about tacos. But I'm also seeing this horrifying vision of like this really did inspire like anarcho-capitalists a lot. Like they're like, yeah, dude, fuck it. Just do whatever you want. We literally live in that world where they're like respect the troops and destroy the government. uh. Maybe things just go the way they have to go, man. But we gotta wake up now. Okay, I'm gonna keep reading before I have an existential crisis. For it matters now how small the beginning may seem to be. Actually, I'm gonna start a little further back. I know this well, that if 1,000, if 100, if 10 men whom I could name, if 10 honest men only, if one honest man in this state of Massachusetts, ceasing to hold slaves, were to actually withdraw from this co-partnership, paying his taxes, and be locked up in the county jail, therefore, it would be the abolition of slavery in America. For it matters now how small the beginning may seem to be. What is once well done is done forever. What is once well done is done forever. But we love better to talk about it. That we say is our mission. Reform keeps many scores of newspapers in its service, but not one man. If my esteemed neighbor, the state's ambassador, who will devote his days to the settlement of the question of human rights in the council chamber, instead of being threatened with the prisons of Carolina, were to sit down the prisoner of Massachusetts, that state which is so anxious to foist the sin of slavery on her sister, though at present she can discover only an act of inhospitality to be the ground of a quarrel with her, the legislature would not wholly waive the subject the following winter. Yeah, I don't blame them. I don't even know what's to be done about it. Pretty sure they're building the prison camps right now, dude. Instead of being threatened with the prisons of Carolina, we're to sit down with the prisoner of Massachusetts, that state which is so anxious to foist the sin of slavery upon her sister. Though at present she can discover only an act of inhospitality to be the ground of a quarrel with her. The legislature would not wholly waive the subject the following winter. Under a government which imprisons any unjustly, the true place for a just man is also a prison. The proper place today, the only place which Massachusetts has provided for her freer and less desponding spirits, is her prisons, to be put out and locked out of the state by her own act, as they have already put themselves out by their principles. Is it there that the fugitive slave, and the Mexican prisoner on parole, and the Indian, come to plead the wrongs of his race, should find them? On that separate, but more free and honorable ground, where the state places those who are not with her, but against her. The only house in a slave state in which a free man can abide with honor. A prison. If any think that their influence would be lost there, and their voices no longer afflict the ear of the state, that they would not be as an enemy within its walls, they do not know by how much truth is stronger than error, nor how much more eloquently and effectively he can combat injustice who has experienced a little in his own person. Cast your whole vote, not a strip of paper merely, but your whole influence. A minority is powerless while it conforms to the majority. It is not even a minority then, but it is irresistible when it clogs by its whole weight. If the alternative is to keep all men in prison, or give up war and slavery, the state would not hesitate which to choose. If 1,000 men were not to pay their tax bills this year, that would not be a violent and bloody measure, as it would be to pay them, and enable the state to commit the violence and shed innocent blood. This is, in fact, the definition of a peaceable revolution. There's a lot of caveats here, but I appreciate the spirit. Hope you're listening, streamers. Well, I think a big part is that most people already have their taxes taken out of their paycheck automatically. So I don't know how relevant it is anymore. But I don't know, a strike or something. I mean, I think the ICE protests have been literally the most beautiful thing you could see in such an ugly time and world. I'm looking for... I don't know, but then the media is fucking owned, dude. He says we don't know how powerful the truth is. People don't even fucking listen anymore. They don't care. You can't talk to people. How many people have been arrested by ICE and you have to search for an interview? There's so many people shrugging their shoulders at the blind insanity. Oh well, I'll keep reading. But I do think there's a lot of unconscious motherfuckers out there, and if anybody can just do their part to be more conscious, I don't know, we'll all just keep, like, it's... I don't know, man, I don't know, like... I have faith in a lot of people. But it's scary, it's a scary world. It's hard to think about it. His point is the truth lasts, though, yeah. I do think we are gumming up the machine as best as we can, and I think we should keep doing it and do it more and find even more ways. Keep recording. Keep posting. It's more than scary, it's insane. Cast your whole vote. Not a strip of paper merely, but your whole influence. A minority is powerless while it conforms to the majority. It is not even a minority, then, when it conforms. But it is irresistible when it clogs by its whole weight. If the alternative is to keep all just men in prison, or give up war and slavery, the state will not hesitate which to choose. It's just crazy the way they've lubricated the machine now. Like, it's so... We're on a fucking bobsled on a luge of war and slavery. They're like, oh yeah, dude, good job with your civil disobedience and your civil rights movements. We'll be back and, we're gonna keep working on it, though. We're coming out with COVID-19 shortly. We made it in a lab for the last 100 years. Thanks. They've been working on slavery like the cure to cancer. Oh, it hurts. Oh, I'm not owned. I'm not owned. I say to myself in the mirror. Like, I have to pee. Fuck. Cast. I really like put your whole pussy into it. Cast your whole ass, not a strip of paper. Blah blah blah. The alternative, if they have to throw us all in jail, they might fucking do it, man. They might do it now, though. Okay, there's a lot of people in the world these days. I think they have enough bodies. That's the part that scares me, is, like, it is hard. Like, I don't know, man. That shit worked when the population was, like, 300,000 people. No, they're just like, oh, we need more orphans for the orphan grinding machine. We're never running out of orphans, dude. Oh, God. I said I wasn't gonna have an existential crisis, but what shall I do? The state will not hesitate which to choose. If 1,000 men were not to pay their tax bills this year, that would not be a violent and bloody measure, as it would be to pay them, and enable the state to commit violence and shed innocent blood. Honestly, the thing I want to say right now, and is also like a joke, but also I can't say it because I'm going to get TOS banned, is we gotta... How could I say it in, like, Minecraft terms? No. We have to stay calm. I have to pee. I'll be right back. Did you guys see that news story about the crazy woman who, like, just tried to burn down an ice facility? She wasn't even wearing a mask. I know she was probably having, like, a mental health episode, but, like, honestly, like, wow. My one word is wow. Like, she's literally wearing, like, flip-flops and dumping, like, one can of... Yeah, she's wearing sandals. She, like, does not look like I don't know, like, you'd think they'd be wearing, like, black block and have, like, a mask on and, like, doing it in the middle of the night. She's out there in flip-flops at, like, noon. She's got sunglasses on her head. Whole ass into it, dude.